How's it going, guys? Shaggy from the Order of Mithril here, and we're continuing our spooky season celebration, and today we're going to be taking a look at a classic game, one of my all-time favorites, Castlevania Symphony of the Night. This masterpiece of a game was released in Japan, March 1997, and in North America in October of the same year. Thanks in no small part to Koji Igarashi being the assistant director of this game, this title changed Castlevania for a long time. Every game that came out after this for some time was basically a cut and copy of this title, and they all had their high points and low points, but this was just a grand change for the Castlevania series. If we had not had Castlevania Symphony of the Night, we wouldn't have had another spectacular game that came out in recent years, being Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, that was headed by Koji Igarashi. He actually took the Kickstarter and was only asking for, I believe, $500,000 to make a game, and then walked out with a little over $5 million. Enough of the backstory though, let's go ahead and get into this. First things first though, I'm going to go ahead and start off with a narrative for this one. So it's actually a really good story for Castlevania. So Alucard made his first appearance in the Castlevania series back in Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse, where he was an optional character that you could have journey with you. He actually went to sleep for a long time after the events of that game, trying to relieve the world of his cursed bloodline. He has now since woken up to find that Castlevania, Castle Dracula, has re-emerged in just 4 years after Richter Belmont had beat Dracula. Richter has gone missing, and so now it's up to Alucard to figure out what's happened to Richter and what's going on with the castle here, and see what he can do about dispelling it back to hell. I absolutely love this narrative. You actually get to look into Alucard's backstory throughout the events of this game. You find out that his mother was actually killed by angry townspeople who thought she was a witch and in league with the devil, and that's why she was in union with Dracula. So, looking at the art and the graphics, all I can really say is that before I became a really big Xbox player or even started messing around with anything on PC, I was hardcore PlayStation for the PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 era of gaming. Loved them. And this game just stood out to me for the way that it looked. And having been an old school Castlevania, it was a far cry different than anything I had ever seen in a Castlevania before. So just knowing that it was a Castlevania game and the unique art that it had to it, the way the graphics looked and everything, it was amazing. Even though it's a 2D game, there are 3D elements like being able to walk in front of furniture, behind walls, or even in this save room right here, you can see that the orb kind of throbs a little bit and it's three-dimensional. The music and the audio in this game still stand out to me to this day. The music in each area just seems to have a certain ambiance to it. And everything that you do, the spells, the attacks, the enemies, everything sounds unique in its own way. There's no way for you to mistake one thing for another in this title, and I praise them for this. This game had another unique thing to it as far as Castlevania went. This wasn't just like your basic action game with a horror over theme where you're just killing vampires and such like in the previous titles. This was actually a role-playing game. So as you're going through the castle, you're going to level up Alucard. You're going to be able to get more health, and you're going to be able to get more mana points. You're also going to be able to raise your stats like strength, constitution, intelligence, and luck. But even beyond that, like any other role-playing game, you're going to find equipment, gear, and items that you can use throughout the game, even special abilities. So you're going to find different swords and maces, and you're going to find different items that you can throw down to use as projectiles or magic items. You're going to find different armors and shields, and some of these weapons actually work in unison. Like if you're using the shield rod in one of the various shields that are in the game, you'll cast different abilities that are really cool. Some of them summon lightning, some of them heal you, so on and so forth. Now you're also going to be able to find relics as you go through this title. Some of these relics are going to be like the Cubizo, where if you strike a candle on the wall, like in any other Castlevania game, that's when hearts are going to appear, or bags of money. And that's another thing. There is actually a shopkeeper in this game who will take that gold from you that you can buy items with, sometimes armor, weapons, curative items so that you can heal yourself or dispel negative effects that are on you. Some of the relics that stand out the most to anybody that plays this game are going to be the familiars that you can unlock, like the bat, the ghost, the demon, the fairy, the sword. They're going to be able to level up as well alongside you, and that's going to increase like their damage that they can put out or the abilities that they use. So if you raise the bat, it'll attack more frequently. And whenever you actually unlock the ability to turn into a bat, if the familiar is equipped, you'll actually get extra bats to follow you. So if you're just a bat, you can fire a fireball. If you have the bat familiar with you, it'll fire one as well, so you have 2 fireballs now. But as you level up the bat, you'll get more to follow you, so you'll be firing more fireballs. And then also, one other thing that I found really interesting was the sword familiar. As you level it up, you're going to gain a new ability at one point where you'll actually be able to use the familiar as a weapon. It also has one of the best attacks in the game, doing the Sword Brothers ability. In my own personal, humble opinion, this is one of the Castlevania games that actually has the most replay value out of the whole catalog of Castlevania games. And the reason I say that is, yes, it doesn't have a score like some of the other games in the series, but one thing that it does have is it has a multitude of endings. So there is one ending where you can just burn through the castle and beat the boss, and then it'll give you what's known as the easy ending. But if you continue to go through the castle and try to find all of the secrets, you'll eventually find one specific item that will allow you to approach that boss battle in a different fashion, which will actually double the size of the game almost. And from there on, depending on your actions, not by player choice in certain cutscenes or who you kill or how you kill them, but just what you do outside of cutscenes and killing enemies, like exploring the entirety of the castle, those will actually give you different endings. There's 4 different endings to this title that I can remember specifically. There may actually be 5, but there's more replay value in trying to find those different endings to me. And the fact that it's such a unique game for its time was another reason why I would give it a higher replay value than most of the other Castlevanias out there. But then again, that's just my opinion. The difficulty of this game has been a bit of a controversy at times. There are some people who have played it and still say that they love it, but say that it's too easy at times or altogether. Me, personally, I feel like there are times where it's challenging, but not overly challenging. So I see where people are saying that it's too easy, but I wouldn't say that it's too easy overall. I would say that it's actually at a pleasant pacing. Though it's not much of a change to the difficulty, once you actually beat the game for the first time, the whole game, actually getting through that secret boss encounter, or how to defeat that boss in the secret manner. I'm not trying to give it away just in case you haven't played it yet, but once you beat the game in its entirety, you can actually go back and start a new file and name your character Richter. This will allow you to play the entirety of this game with Richter Belmont. Now, it's not really a change in the difficulty, but you are going to have to approach certain enemies and bosses in a different fashion, seeing as how he doesn't play the same as Alucard. You won't be able to use the relics, you won't be able to use the familiars, you won't actually be able to do anything to really change Richter's stats. And because he does play so different to Alucard, you will have to change the way you approach a lot of the game. So as far as my rating system traditionally goes, about must play, wait to play, or don't bother, this is definitely a must play. And you guys can pick it up on Xbox, PlayStation, and mobile, and even handhelds and PC. So go check it out. And one last thing before I go, guys, let me know what your favorite Castlevania game was down in the comment section below. But thanks again for stopping by. Hope you have a great day.